Okay, guys, so this is your sheet for today. We're looking at picture graphs. So with picture graphs, we are using pictures to represent our findings, so out of our graphs. So what we would do is we'll have a look at the sheet, and then I will run you through, just using my iPad, how to create the graphs, and then how to answer the questions using the graphs that we have created. Okay, so I have selected my 5 countries as it says to do on here. So it says select 5 countries you're interested in. In your workbook, construct a table outlining each country's name and how many Olympic medals they won. So you can draw this in your workbook, or you could print it out and copy it in, paste it in, doesn't really matter, but drawing it is easy enough. Just use a ruler, measure it up and draw it up. So what I'm going to do now is, we could use tally marks like Mr. Crispin taught us yesterday. And for that, we could add in our tally marks, but we're just going to, because we're going to use them in a different way, we are just going to use numbers. So I'm going to find France, and I've picked these 5 countries, and I'll tell you again later, but I've picked these 5 countries because they don't have a huge amount of medals. So for my purpose of doing my tally mark or my numbers and showing you how to make the graph, the picture graph, in the next few videos, I'm just going to keep it nice and small, but you'll have a whole page, so yours will be really easy to do. So pick whichever country you want, countries that interest you. Some of the bigger countries are always good to do, and then maybe some of the smaller countries you don't know anything about, or one that maybe you researched previously in different assignments. So for France, they won 10 gold medals, so I'll put in my 10. I will put in my 10. 10 gold medals. They won 12 silver. And they won 11 bronze. So they won a total of 33 medals. So I'll put that in. Cuba, they won 7, 3, and 5. So 7, 3, and 5, which means they won a total of 15. Poland won 4, 5, and 5. So 4 gold, 5 silver, 5 bronze, which gives them a total of 14. Kenya, they won 4, 4, and 2. 2, which gives them a total of 10. And Romania, they didn't win too many. They won 1 gold, 3 silver. Move this. 1 gold, 3 silver, no bronze. So we'll still have to include them on the bronze medal one later, but you just won't have any value for them. So they won obviously a total of 4 altogether. So we'll use this data to create our picture graphs in our next video. Okay, guys, so I have got my tallies done. My 5 countries are France, Cuba, Poland, Kenya, and Romania. And the reason I chose these 5 countries is because, just for this example here, they didn't win a whole lot of medals. So France won 10 gold medals, but we'll talk about that in a second. So up the top, I've got gold medals. So I know what this graph is about. It's my title, gold medals. Down the side, I've got how many medals. And down the bottom, so down the side is my y-axis, down the bottom is my x-axis. It says France, Cuba, Poland, Kenya, and Romania. And I've written them on the side because it allows me to fit them in and my graph doesn't have to be too big. Now, I don't need lines up there. I'm just going to keep my pictures nice and straight. So over on the right here, it has a circle equals 2. So that means when I draw in a circle, that means 2 medals. Now, that's really important if you're going to do someone like the United States or China, or even Japan and maybe even Great Britain, who have won a lot of medals. You don't want to be having to represent 1 medal for 1 medal, because you'll have something that has, for the United States, 39 medals. So I'm doing 1 medal represents 2. So for my first country, it's going to be France. Now, France won 10 medals. So if I use times tables, I would know that 10 times 2 is 5. So I should only have to do 5 medals up here. So I'd go 2, I would go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'm trying to keep my graph nice and straight. Now, Cuba won 7. So I would go 2, 4, 6. But because Cuba won 7, we need to do a half medal because half is 1 here. Half of a circle or half of a medal. Now, Poland, they won 4. So I would do 2, 4. Kenya also won 4 gold medals. So I would go 2, 4. And Romania only won 1. So they're going to have a half. Because they didn't win 2 medals. So if they won 2 medals, they would have had a full, but they've got a half. So they've got that one there. Okay, so we're up to the total medals. So you should have done gold, silver, and bronze for each country, keeping the same country, using your tally marks that we did right at the start and how Mr. Crispin taught us yesterday how to do this. So I've got my France, Cuba, Poland, Kenya, and Romania down the bottom on my x-axis. My y-axis is how many medals, and at the top I've changed it from the colour of medal or the type of medal to total medals. And this is an overall now, so that's a combination of gold, silver, and bronze. Now, if you were to do someone like United States, China, Japan, Great Britain, anyone in that sort of top 5 or 6, you're going to have a lot of medals to do now. So you could leave it similar to your medal equals 2, or you could do something like a medal now equals 4. Now, I've put some lines through the 4 and made that into quarters only because on my iPad that I'm recording on here, it's really, really hard to draw that quarter with my pencil that I've got. So your quarter, if you got to a point where, for instance, France had 33 medals in total. So my medals would go up by 4. I know that 4 times 8 is 32, so it's not a 4 times table. But what I'll do is I'll go really small just so I can fit it in. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. And then at the top, I would actually have to do a little quarter of a circle. Now, that's fine. You would just colour in, you would just draw that little quarter there. So the 1 quarter that I've done, and it's really tricky for me to draw. I'll try and do it, but it's very tricky for me to do it that small. But I would have to draw almost a quarter of the circle. So that's my best go at it. You've got a pencil, it'll be much easier. But that would represent the 1 then, because that circle represents 4. So breaking that into quarters would represent 4. I think that's really important if you do pick United States, China, Japan, Great Britain, ROC or Australia. The rest of them you can probably get away with just going up by 2s, but if you're going to do those bigger countries, go up by 4s on these ones. So once you've done your total, then you have to go across and do it for all of them. So for me, I would go to my next one, which was Cuba. I would find where Cuba was. Cuba won 15 in total. I'm looking at my tallies. They won 15, so I'd go up. If I was going up by 4s, I'd go 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'd need 3 quarters of it. So again, it's going to be really hard for me to draw. But I'd have to almost do it like that, leave that quarter out, and have my 15. I'd go along then and do Poland, Kenya, Romania, and then we can use the picture graph to answer the questions on the rest of the sheet.